Hi guys, again welcome you in the YouTube channel of Chamila Devi Institute of Pharmacy. Now, if we come to the basic modifications which may take place in the acetylcholine, then how they change the cholinergic activity of the newer compound or that modified compound. So, if you look for the acetylcholine, we divided the structure into three key parts or three key area. One is the acetyloxy or ester group. The another is quaternary ammonium part, and the things which difference this ester group and the ammonium part, that is called linker or ethylene group. And for better understanding of SAR, the Young's rule of 5 are given for the cholinergic activity, and this Young's rule suggests that the difference between the quaternary nitrogen to the terminal atom should not be more than 5 atom. If you look for acetylcholine, there is 1 atom, 2 atom, 3 atom, 4 atom, and 5 atom. So this methyl having a terminal 3 hydrogen, 1 this one or that one or that. In all the cases, the difference is remain 5 atom, and it is basically required for the maximal activity or maximal potency towards the muscarinic type. Then what type of modification we will do and how they alter the activity. So firstly we take the modifications is take place in the form of quaternary ammonium group. So generally the key aspect when we go for development of newer molecule, we try to change the group or moiety by means of isostatic replacement, or you can change in case of this quaternary amines, you can change the degree. It might be 1 degree, 2 degree or 3 degree. And another thing is that we can also try to replace this whole thing by means of non-cationic group or moiety. But if we change this quaternary ammonium part by means of non-cationic group or moiety, although it is isoster to NM2, but it is not having a cationic portion, and in that case the activity is drastically fall down or abolish. So this reveals that the positive charge is essential for the activity. Now, if we look for replacement of these three methyl group by means of hydrogen, means all the three methyl is replacements of hydrogen, it is 1 degree. If out of that 2 is replaced by means of hydrogen, then it is 2 degree. And if 1 is replaced, then definitely it gives the resultant, it might have the 3 degree nitrogens. And in all the cases, the activity may be decreases or may abolish completely. So this is that the methyl is somehow important for the activity, but there is a possibility we can shift it towards the bulkier substitutions. So in that case, if we replace this methyl by means of ethyl or propyl, again activity is decreases, and in case of the replacement of all this 3 methyl group with ethyl, then sometime claim it is giving the antagonist activity, means the cholinolytic effect. So bulkier group is also not favor for the mimetic activity, but generally out of these 3 methyl we can replace 1 methyl with ethyl, and in that conditions the compound show the activity, but that activity is still lesser than the corresponding acetylcholine. So if this happens, then again activity is decreases. If you look for the isostatic replacement, then if we go for isostatic replacement like arsenic or like sulfur or selenium, in that condition again the activity is decreases. Means this study revealed that the positive charge is essential and preferably the quaternary ammonium compound is essential. So there should be written this portion we don't play or we are unable to much play with this segment, that segment keep intake. Now the other area where changes are possible. So if you look, we already discussed this, the anticholinergic activity if all the 3 methyl is replaced by means of ethyl segment. If we go for modifications in term of the ethylene bridge, then it gives some type of selectivity or specificity for the muscarinic or nicotinic receptors. So generally, if we increase or decrease the chain length of this linker, actually this linker having a chain length which is equivalent to 2 carbon, but if we increase to 3 carbon or we decrease to 1 carbon, then the activity is decreases or activity is abolished. So that suggests that it should be 2 carbon difference for optimum activity. Then what type of modification we can do or we can take place, we can change on this alpha carbon and beta carbon from the methyl from the nitrogen. So just take it In that condition, there are the two hydrogens on beta carbon as well as on alpha carbon. So one of the hydrogen can be replaced by means of the alkyl group. So if we go for changes on the alpha carbon by means of methyl substitutions which favor nicotinic effect, and the muscarinic activity is decreases, means alpha is favor for the nicotinic selectivity. Similarly, if we do the change on beta carbon, then they decrease the nicotinic activity but retain the muscarinic activity. Means beta modification is favor for muscarinic activity. Apart from that, this beta replacement by small group inhibit acetylcholine esterase enzymes, means they increase the duration of action of the compounds, means their metabolism is subside. And if we look for changes in terms of histochemical aspect, basically when you change one of the hydrogen with methyl group on any of these two positions, then stereocenter is generated, and once when stereocenter is generated, then selectivity might be arise. So if we look for the beta stereocenter, in that conditions generally the ACE enantiomer is more active over the R enantiomer. But if you go for alpha modifications, in that generally there is no much difference in these two enantiomeric form. They are neck to neck having a activity. Then we go for modifications on the ester group, and again in this the substitutions of higher analogs of acetyl, means in place of the methyl, if we go for ethyl, propyl or butyl, then in all the conditions activity is reduced. And if we go for modification of the oxygen of the carbonyl group or ester linkage group, in that conditions the activity is not much affected, means that is suggested that the ester like oxygen is essential, but the ester group is not essential as quaternary amine group, means here we can change this carboxylate by means of keto, means this O can be changed to CH2 and this portion is remain intact, or we can remove this portion, carbonyl portion, and this oxygen we can keep H such. So in that conditions the activities retain or subside up to a certain extent. But if we change this COO by means of CH2, then it is unfavorable, because in that conditions the possibility of hydrogen bond formation is not there. and due to that the activity is abolished. So if you look, this ester is liable to hydrolysis, but we can prevent this hydrolysis by changing the methyl to the carbamate type of system. Then it show resistance towards the hydrolysis by the acetylcholine enzymes. And again, if we change this ester by means of ether linkage, then they retain the activity, but they resist towards the hydrolysis. Same, if we change this ester group by means of keto segment, then carbonyl segment, then again they show the activity, but they resist towards the hydrolysis. Means ultimately this type of modifications prolong the duration of action of the congeners of acetylcholine. Then come to the SAR summary, what type of modifications how affect the activity. We already in depth studied in the previous slides, but in summary we just show some pictorial representations. Means if you look for the R1 group, NH2 increase duration of action, but if we go for modification of this R1 by ethyl or phenyl, then decrease biological activity. If we change on the beta carbon by means of R2 methyl, the nicotinic activity it decreases, but the muscarinic activity is remain at par with the congener. And if you look for the R3, that is substitutions on the alpha carbon, then methyl moiety substitutions increase nicotinic effect, decrease muscarinic effect, and decrease acetylcholine stress effect. And if we look for the stoichiochemistry, so key stoichiochemistry on the beta carbon, S enantiomers are showing the more active, then R enantiomer is approximately 20 times more active. And if you look for the substitutions of quaternary nitrogen by cation bearing isoester like arsenic, sulfur or selenium, in all these cases the activity is decreases, but cationic portion is important. Similarly, if you look for the quaternary ammonium moiety like R on that R group or R prime group or R prime group, then the activity is affected in such patient. If this all the R is methyl, then it is optimum activity. If all these three R is H, then activity decreases. If this all the three R is ethyl propyl, activity decreases. And sometime in case bulkier group, they are showing anti-acetylcholinergic effect or anticholinergic activity. And if you look for the bridge type of system, we already studied. If you look for ester linkage, then oxygen atom preferably and ester capable of participating in the hydrogen bond. But for increased duration of actions, out of this ester we can change it to keto or we can change it to ether to maintain the activity but protect from the hydrolysis. Thanks friends. If you have any question, then you can ask and we are happy to address them. Thanks again.